1. You will hear two friends discussing their plans for a healthy diet and exercise routine. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 5. Now listen and answer questions 1 to 5.
Okay, Sarah, I know I'm gaining weight with all my unhealthy eating habits.
That's right, candy bars, burgers, and all washed down with gallons of soda, and with all the sugar in soda, I think we can say you're definitely overindulging, don't you think?
I know I intend to definitely stop drinking that from now on.
And that's part of the balanced eating plan that we have agreed we need to formulate, one that we can both follow.
That's right, balanced and realistic, allowing us to enjoy some sweet foods on occasions.
On rare occasions, and we're going to cut out all the burgers and fried chicken.
Well, not completely. I thought you said burgers could be eaten once a month. You know how I like burgers.
No, I said once every 3 months. Once a month was yogurt, not burgers.
Yeah, that's because you like yogurt. I prefer burgers.
John, if you want to lose weight, you need to be disciplined in both what you eat and what you do, which brings us to the issue of exercise.
That's right, so cycling twice a week and trekking on Saturdays, right?
No, trekking is Sundays, allowing Saturdays for the light jogging exercise. I've investigated and discovered there are a lot of jogging trails around this neighborhood, with many scenic places if you just look around.
So what's happening this Saturday? Jog around the town?
That's later in the month. This Saturday we'll visit Maple Park.
Oak Park is nicer, with great views too.
Yes, but we have to travel too far to reach Oak Park, so I ruled that out. And I love the scent of maples.
And what about the weekday meals? Soups every night, I suppose?
No, it's important to vary the meals so that the food remains enjoyable and engaging. The only common factor is the herbal tea, but otherwise we'll have a variety of nutritious fare, from soups to chicken to lean beef.
I'd rather have beef every night, but you're the boss.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 6 to 10. Now listen and answer questions 6 to 10.
If you want to lose weight, you'll have to accept this program, okay?
Okay, now Sarah, you said we could have a little reward in our diet plan 3 times a week, specifically Mondays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays.
Yes, a very small treat, but something to reward us for all the discipline shown. Such rewards will motivate us to continue the diet.
So on Mondays, what can I choose?
You have a choice between a small serving of cake, yogurt, or smoothies.
Okay, well, I will go for the smoothies. They taste good, boost fruit and vegetable consumption, and they are a convenient treat.
I do indeed, so I'll have them too, saving the yogurt for later.
But I know how much you like yogurt, so why don't you save it for the end of the week? That will give you the motivation to keep going, and you can have cake midweek?
That's a good idea, but I think the most important thing is for you and I to eat different things on those other 2 days.
Well, if you think that way, I will eat the yogurt on Wednesdays, not the cake. Okay?
Well, if you're having that, then I can't have yogurt. In order to be different, I'll have the cake.
So we can compare our different snacks and maybe even share a little with each other.
Exactly, and the variety and fun involved will take our minds off wanting more.
Eating for fun, a good idea.
And then you can have the cake on Saturday, right?
But I like smoothies. Actually, I want smoothies again to have with waffles.
But you have the smoothies on Monday, remember, and we can't repeat.
Ah, come on. This isn't fixed in stone. I can have them again instead of cake. You might like variety, but I don't. I'm a creature of habit.
Well, the whole point of this was to taste different snacks, but if you want the same thing, okay. I, for one, am sticking to the original plan, with yogurt to finish the week and not another dose of cake.
That is the end of Part 1. You now have half a minute to check your answers to Part 1. Part 2. You will hear details about a childcare centre, including its facilities, programs, and staff. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 16. Now listen and answer questions 11 to 16.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Maplewood Learning and Development Centre. I understand that, as parents of young children, you are cautious about where you leave your little ones. You've spent the past 3 or 4 years caring for them and ensuring their safety, so it's perfectly natural to feel hesitant. Let me assure you, however, that Maplewood is one of the safest childcare centres you will find. Our commitment to safety begins with the design of our facilities. Every room in the centre have rubbery floors, which significantly reduces the risk of injuries if a child falls or trips. Unlike many other centres that use carpet or wooden floors, we've chosen this material to provide extra cushioning and peace of mind. We've also equipped all sharp corners on furniture and play areas with protective covers, and all outdoor equipment is surrounded by landing mats to ensure your children are always safe. But safety is just the beginning. At Maplewood, we believe that every child deserves an environment where they can develop and grow. That's why we focus heavily on learning and creativity. Each of our team members is not just a certified childcare professional, but also has expertise in a specific area. For example, some specialise in teaching basic arithmetic and problem-solving skills, while others focus on developing communication through storytelling and role-playing. We even have team members who introduce children to the basics of art and music, allowing your little ones to express themselves creatively. Our literacy programme in particular is a standout feature of Maplewood. We incorporate a wide range of educational games and activities designed to help your children build a strong foundation in reading and writing. Now, let's talk about an important concern for many parents: health and hygiene. We know that environments where young children gather can sometimes lead to the spread of illnesses such as colds or the flu. That's why we've implemented strict measures to keep the centre clean and safe. At the end of each day, we clean every surface using a disinfectant, which eliminates bacteria and viruses. Unlike other centres that might rely on basic household cleaners, we prioritise using hospital-grade solutions. In addition, we have a policy of daily health checks. When children arrive, our staff checks for any signs of illness. If a child seems unwell, we kindly request that parents take them home to rest and recover. If the symptoms are mild, we may allow them to stay but require the child to wear a mask. These measures help us maintain a healthier environment for all children.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 17 to 20. Now listen and answer questions 17 to 20.
Let me introduce you to some of the amazing staff members here at Maplewood. Our team includes Sarah, Emily, Ava, Lauren, and Chloe. Each one brings something special to the centre. For instance, Ava has been part of Maplewood for over 7 years, making her one of our most experienced staff members. She has a remarkable talent for organising group activities that encourage teamwork and cooperation among children. Lauren, on the other hand, is particularly skilled at helping shy and quiet children feel comfortable and confident in group settings. Emily often stays late to meet with parents, offering helpful advice about managing challenges at home, while Sarah's has encouraged many kids to be innovative. Lastly, Chloe is known for her baking skills and often prepares delicious homemade snacks for the kids, which they absolutely love. At Maplewood Learning and Development Centre, our team's dedication and passion ensure that every child has a safe, fun and enriching experience. It's more than just childcare. It's a place where children can thrive and parents can feel confident that their little ones are in the best hands possible.
That is the end of part 2. You now have half a minute to check your answers to part 2. Part 3. You will hear a student discussing his postgraduate dissertation with his professor. First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 25. Now listen and answer questions 21 to 25.
Hi, Dr. Carter. It's nice to speak with you again.
Always a pleasure, Liam. How can I assist you today?
Well, I really appreciated your guidance last week on drafting outlines. I've been using them to structure my research for my postgraduate dissertation.
I'm glad to hear that. But I take it you've run into some challenges.
That's right. I want my dissertation to stand out and achieve a high grade, but I'm struggling to figure out how to begin. It feels overwhelming to know where to start.
That's a common problem. The key is to start with a topic that genuinely interests you, not one chosen by someone else. Passion for the subject will always improve the quality of your work, and you'll find it easier to stay motivated.
I've been reading a lot about technology and education, and it's a field that fascinates me.
That's an excellent choice, but it's still too broad. Narrow it down by focusing on a specific aspect. For instance, online learning platforms, the impact of AI on teaching methods, or challenges faced in remote education.
I think I'd like to explore the effectiveness of online learning platforms, especially with the increase in virtual education recently.
That's a good start, but you'll need to define your research question carefully. It's essential to establish a thesis statement that clearly outlines the purpose of your essay. The thesis will serve as the backbone of your entire piece.
Can you give me some examples of thesis types?
Sure, you could argue a position, analyze a trend, or critically evaluate others' work. For example, you might argue that online platforms have reduced inequalities in access to education, or you might explore the limitations of these platforms in providing hands-on learning. A thesis statement sets the direction and scope of your essay. Without a strong thesis, your essay could lack focus.
Got it. Once that's done, I can start writing, right?
Not quite. Before writing, create a detailed outline to ensure your essay has a logical flow. You can use tools like concept maps or linear outlines, but the most important thing is that your essay progresses clearly from one idea to the next. An outline helps you see the big picture and ensures there's no repetition or confusion in your work.
That's helpful, but what about the qualities of an exceptional essay?
Originality is key. The best essays reflect independent thinking and avoid merely repeating what others have already said. Readers appreciate fresh perspectives.
I'll keep that in mind.
Good, but originality isn't enough on its own. Your arguments must be logically sound, with each point supported by evidence. Use examples to illustrate your claims.
I've collected several examples from my readings. Would those work?
Definitely. But remember, whenever you include data or ideas that aren't common knowledge, cite your sources properly. Without accurate references, your work could fail academic standards. Referencing is non-negotiable in academic writing.
Noted. I'll make sure to do that.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 26 to 30. Now listen and answer questions 26 to 30.
Great. Another thing to keep in mind is formatting. Presentation matters just as much as content. Formatting is important. Even the best essays can lose marks if they look untidy. Your university has specific requirements, such as Times New Roman font, 1.5 line spacing, and clear headings.
I'll check the style guide for details.
Lastly, be mindful of the word count. Your professors will give you a target, and it's important to stick to it. Within 10% either way is usually acceptable. Some universities allow a 15% margin, but anything beyond that could result in penalties. If you're unsure, always double-check with your lecturer.
I understand. And sticking to the word count makes sure my essay doesn't feel too rushed or too drawn out.
Exactly. A concise essay shows discipline, while an overly long one can seem unedited.
Thanks, Dr. Carter. Your advice is very clear and step by step. It's given me a lot more confidence about the process. I'll definitely work on narrowing my topic, creating a...
That is the end of part 3. You now have half a minute to check your answers to part 3. Part 4. You will hear a lecturer explaining the history of views over whether the Sun or the Earth is at the center of the solar system. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 33. Now listen and answer questions 31 to 33.
In the night sky, the stars appear to revolve around the Earth, rising in the east and disappearing in the west. The Earth itself seems solid, fixed, and stable, and such common sense perception suggests that the Earth is the center of the universe. This is known as geocentrism, with geo meaning Earth, and all pre-modern civilizations drew this conclusion. We now know, of course, that the Earth revolves around the Sun, and this is called heliocentrism, with helio meaning sun. But historically, it took quite a while for this to be deduced. As early as the 3rd century BC, an ancient Greek astronomer, Aristarchus of Samos, proposed heliocentrism, but received little support from his peers. Similarly, throughout subsequent history, isolated individuals proposed this new idea, but again, no one was listening. Geocentrism just seemed too logical to refute. Geocentrism also fitted the views of the established Christian church, who could quote biblical passages such as, "The world also shall be stable, that it be not moved." Those who dared disagree were subject to accusations of heresy, often with dire punishments to follow. The trouble was, as the night sky was observed more closely, that simple revolution of the stars proved not so simple at all. In relation to the other stars, some steadily wandered in given directions, then sometimes reversed for months and disappeared altogether. They were called planets, meaning wanderers. In addition, the position of the sun and moon altered slightly over the year, and comets, those mysterious glowing spots, would come and go. In order to predict the motion of the planets and accurately serve the primary purpose of navigation for sailing ships, increasingly elaborate mathematical models were needed, a sure sign that something was not quite right.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 34 to 40. Now listen and answer questions 34 to 40.
Heliocentrism, or the belief that the sun is the center of the solar system, still needed a mathematically sound description before it could be scientifically accepted. And it was a Polish astronomer, Nicolaus Copernicus, who in 1543 first published this. This event is sometimes referred to as the Copernican Revolution. Copernicus himself certainly feared the consequences of his proof, knowing full well it might invoke the anger of the established church. Probably for this reason, he wailed until the last year of his life, when he was sick and dying, to release his findings. In addition, the preface of the book, written by a respected member of the church, staled that the model was not necessarily correct. As a result of this, there was no revolution whatsoever. In fact, the book received scant attention in the subsequent decades, apart from a few irate clergymen who angrily dismissed the whole scheme as irrelevant. Yet the following generations of astronomers did not always fare so well. The Italian scientist Galileo got into trouble, as did a fellow Italian with the surname Bruno, Giordano Bruno, who was burnt at the stake, yet ultimately nothing could slow the spread of heliocentrism across Europe. It formed the basis of Isaac Newton's great work on the motion of the planets, a work which implied that even the sun around which the Earth circled was itself in motion around a common center of gravity. No discourse about heliocentrism could finish without mentioning that, somewhat unbelievably, there still exist those today who choose to believe that the Earth is the center of the universe. Modern geocentrism is usually the result of literal interpretations of the Bible, which is the cornerstone of these people's beliefs. They therefore also believe in creationism, that is, that a God created everything. And while we may smile at this, it is sobering to consider that surveys have revealed that up to 10% of British people, 12% of Europeans, 20% of the USA, and 25% of the Middle East still hold the belief that the sun revolves around the earth. One can only wonder what Copernicus would have thought of this.
That is the end of Part 4. You now have half a minute to check your answers to Part 4.